Hey, welcome back to another episode of Chaotic Night Network. Your place for news, though I think we're going to shift a little bit and have it be more of a opinionated show.
Op-ed, yeah.
Yeah, I like that better.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of flip to that. We don't get the news fast enough, I think, is what we've been finding, until some of these guys want to step up and give us the news like they give some of the other. Maybe we need to be bigger.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we get a little bit bigger, and maybe we'll get a little bit of advanced news, or maybe we just don't have our Ninja Spy Network positioned correctly yet.
That could be too. I don't know how they get it, so we'll have to make some phone calls and see if we can get the news. But so we're going to talk about a couple of things today. I'm going to let's open with number 2, the Keyforge. Second round of Keyforge is coming out.
Yep, drops on Thursday.
Yeah, drops this Thursday. We're going to run some tournaments here at our LGS, our local game store, and see how that goes. It's supposed to bring some new, I think, houses to the game, some new abilities, and some new functions on how things work within each of the old houses as well. So all your old decks will still be relevant. Thank you. I was going to say relative, but they'll be relevant and still be useful. So you can still buy the season 1, or I don't know, whatever one, version 1 decks, but they aren't making them anymore. That was their big announcement from Asmodee. Is that who makes that game?
Fantasy Flight.
Whoever makes
Fantasy Flight Games.
Somebody makes it over there that Asmodee. I think it's an Asmodee game, but so that's Keyforge, and we'll have more on that as we open packs and see what's going on. I know the old set, everybody was looking for those Riders of the Apocalypse decks, and
the
probably
Horsemen were the big.
The Horsemen
were the big ones, yeah.
They were the big ones, so we'll see if there's something new coming out of that in the second series of cards. So we'll look forward to that, and we'll have probably more of an update on that next week.
And for people who aren't familiar with Keyforge, it's another Richard Garfield game. He's the creator of Magic. It's very different than Magic in that there's no resource allocation, like there's no mana like there is in Magic. It's all based on player choice rather than just if you don't get enough land or if you get too much land in your hand like Magic does. It is not a collectible game in the regards that Magic is. There's no deck building. There's no trading cards. Your deck has to remain the same. Each deck comes with its own little Q code that you can scan, and it'll tell you exactly what's in the deck. There's an app for it that handles all of that. And when you go to tournaments, you got to register your decks. So it's really different. It's a card game that's playable directly out of the box.
Yeah.
And I think that's really neat about Keyforge, because personally, like, one of the things I dislike about Magic is I don't like deck building. I don't like deck building in any game I play. I just want to play the game. I don't want to spend hours and hours strategizing and planning my deck. I just want to get out there and play.
Or trading, for that matter.
Or trading. Yeah, I'm not really big into that either. So, like, for me, Keyforge was a lot more enjoyable because I could just crack open a pack of it and play and have fun.
And it is fun. You don't even have to kill your opponent. It's not the point of the game. And It's one of the few card games where you're forging keys. Go figure. And first person to forge 3 keys wins. But yeah, like Chaos said, it's just right out of the box. And I think we find that people are liking that component. I know especially people like Chaos who don't like collectible card games, and we have a number of them here that come around here. And so we like Keyforge for that component of, let me have a deck, and of course you still got your collectors who will come and buy 20, get 20 decks. And
right.
I want to get the deck that I want. So, but it's a great game. We should try live streaming some of the games.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a fun one. It doesn't take too long, too, so maybe we'll do that. So after our Ready Table 1 tournament kicks off for Season 1, we'll talk about that here.
You want to talk about that now?
Towards the end.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we can talk about that now.
We're talking about card games. Let's talk about Ready Table 1.
Yeah, we're on that. The Magic, so we've kind of re-relegated and rewritten, and we've talked to players, and we've changed some of the ground rules. And so what we have finalized on, and we have to finalize on because the regulation tournament is on Sunday this week, the 2nd, to see what top 8 we're going to be filming here on KNN, on Chaotic Night Network, here for you to see and kind of get to know those players. So the big tournament to get everybody in will be Sunday at noon. We're not going to film any of those. We may do so going forward, but the first one we're actually not going to live stream. And so we are going to play a draft for this particular regulation tournament. The first one will be draft. And so the top 8 players from the draft this Sunday will qualify for Season 1 of Ready Table 1. And through the season, we will watch players play in all three major formats: Standard, Modern, and Limited.
Yep.
And we'll be doing Standard weeks 1 and 2.
Yep. 2 weeks per format.
Yep.
Is what we'll be seeing.
Modern 3 and 4, and then we will run 2 drafts for the Limited series for weeks 5 and 6. From there, we will cut to the top 4 players, and we will have a semifinal and final that will be run based on what you, our audience, will vote for those players to play, whether that be Standard, Modern, or Limited. So it's going to be your choice as you watch and see, hey, it's my favorite player. He's really good at Modern. I'm voting for Modern. Or I hate that guy. He stinks at Limited, so let's vote for Limited. And so that's how we will run the Ready Table 1 finals. And then we'll probably have a week where we do something fun with them.
Yeah. Yep. Maybe some Arch Enemy or just one of the other formats. Or maybe a big Commander game. Or something.
Oh, Commander might be fun. Planes Chase, something like that. We'll do something fun with the top 4 players, and then we will go into Season 2.
And we'll go into Season 2, which will be a new relegation tournament where the bottom 4 players will have automatic entry into that tournament, and then there'll be new players coming up trying to fight their way into the league. And so the players who make the semifinals, those 4 players, whether or not they win it, they will remain in the league if they wish to.
For Season 2.
Yep.
And our regulation tournament for Season 2, I believe this time is going to be Modern, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and then we're going to do Standard win.
Yep.
With Season 3, which at that time, the new, we should rotate out, I believe, was our game plan, so the Standard should see some new cards. And some
Right,
new
it'll be
decks.
right after rotation happens.
Right after rotation, October. So that, actually, we're pretty excited. We got more participants than I think we were planning on for it.
Yes.
So that was also good.
Well, it should have a good turnout for the tournament.
Yeah, it should be kind of fun, and we'll definitely see some pretty good players on that top 8. So, Underworlds. Before we get to our major topic, this is one that I want to talk about. If you haven't played Underworlds from Games Workshop, Shadespire, Night Vault. For those of you who don't know that it's called Underworlds, really fun game. We are getting ready here. Actually, after this show, I'm actually going to get to go play some Underworlds. And we're going to actually live stream some of that as well.
Nice.
Coming on Friday nights.
For the boardroom.
Yeah, for the boardroom. We got a lot of
Underworlds
players
is a board game for people who don't know. It is based in the Warhammer
and a card game and a board.
And a card game.
Yeah.
And it's based in the Warhammer Age of Sigmar universe. And it's about these treasure hunters from all the various factions of Warhammer who go into this cursed city, and now they're trapped there. They can't die, but they also can't leave the city. And so they're constantly fighting over various resources, trying to find a way out, basically, and get these shards that they're hoping will lead them to riches and an escape at the same time. And it's a fun premise. The models are gorgeous, which is, of course, what buys me into a game, is if you have really cool-looking miniatures. Really good sculpts, really dynamic, really cool scenic bases that they're placed on, a lot of fun to paint. And for people who don't like painting as much, or who really want to pour their life into painting, you only have to paint a few models, and so you can really lavish the detail on them if you like, or you just paint 3 guys and you're done. So it just depends on your outlook. It can appeal to all different hobbyists. And yeah, we are getting a group together. We have a good little community of Underworlds players here. We're getting them to paint their models up so it looks really appealing on camera as well, and we'll be streaming some games of that here coming soon.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's one of my favorite games because I think it does a great job. They call it the ultimate competitive wargaming game, but whatever you want to say about that. I like the game because it uses all the components. You get to play a board game, you get miniatures with that board game, you get to play cards strategically on the side of that game, and so it kind of takes all the games and mashes them together in a really well-constructed game.
And it's paced well, too.
Yeah, it's fast.
Well, and not just that, but so you get 2 decks of cards in the game that you have. You have your objectives, and then your power deck, is that what it's called? I always forget the terms.
Yep.
I like the game, I just don't nail the terms down. So you have that. And then you have your miniature part, which is you're moving models and rolling dice with those as well. But it's also, you only have 3 rounds to win the game. And in those 3 rounds, you get 4 activations per player. And so it is really fast-paced. It's back and forth action. You feel like you're always doing something. And then after every single activation, your own or your opponent's, you have a chance to play cards.
Right.
And so you just, I don't know, you always feel involved. The games, to me, feel like they go by way faster than, they actually do, because it's just constant going. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely get a chance to in your LGS. And
Yeah, and see that. So that will come up on the boardroom too on the show, where we will be compiling a list of what we feel are our top 100 board games. I've talked to a couple of the participants of that show, and that's going to be one of their favorite things to do is to start creating that list. And
Yep.
hopefully this will be a site that you guys come to for what's the best board game out there. So we're gonna make that a thing.
We have some
So,
board game diehards
Yeah.
and who are very knowledgeable, love the games, and they will be sharing their opinions on that.
Yeah, that'll be really good. Anyway, Underworlds, check it out. And the last thing, or what should have been the first, but will be the last, and probably we'll wrap with this because I think this is going to be a long-winded conversation
It's a
on
topic.
new Games Workshop paints.
Yes. So Games Workshop, anybody who is on the internet and follows Games Workshop in any fashion knows that they've been talking now for quite a time about their new paint line that's coming out, their contrast paints. And Games Workshop revealed a little more information on that today. Not just that they have contrast paints coming, but that they're adding additional air paints. They're reformulating some of their paints. Some of the there's new bases. There's some technical paints being reworked. I saw some things that I don't even know what they are yet. There's like names, and it just says clear under the air paints. And I'm speculating that they're probably an ink or something similar, which anybody who airbrushes models, and if you're using inks or if you're over in Europe, they call them transparent paints, they're a game changer if you airbrush. Like, they're an absolute game changer in how you paint models. And if Games Workshop decided to go that route, and that's what these paints are, then, like, big kudos to them on making that decision because, I mean, people are already using them. You may as well get into that market, you know, put your own product out there and let it fly. But the contrast paints is the big one. Like, we got a whole new line. Oh, edge paints. Edge paints are, they're not going away. Anybody who heard a rumor about that, edge paints are not leaving. They are being wrapped into the layer line. So they're being recoded, same names.
Are they changing the formula, though, so they're not totally dry, or?
No, not dry paints, edge paints.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, just the highlight.
They're
edges,
really bright pastel colors. They're really
Yeah.
cool. I love them for spot highlights. They are staying there. They are just moving. So there's been rumors going around that their edge paints are going away. It's not
But
true.
they're becoming layers.
They're becoming layer paints. So in that response, edge paints are going away. Yes, the paints are now just recategorized as layer. But the contrast paints are a new thing that's coming out. I've watched like every video I can find on it. I've looked up models painted by some of the best painters out there, Slayer Sword winners, Golden Demon painters, and what they have to say, because a bunch of them got invited out to Warhammer World in Great Britain to get a weekend there and play with the new paints and give feedback on it. And I love the fact that Games Workshop is reaching outside of their company to get this kind of...
Well, that's a fantastic Games Workshop, and I think this is new. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I wasn't around during, I think, what some people call the dark times of Games Workshop. But this is kind of their new MO. They go out, they get check out their videos. They'll fight somebody leaked our video. So what do? They go create a video and kind of leak it themselves and just say, hey, this was getting out,
Yep.
so we made a video.
They
Check
make a
this
joke
out.
about it, yeah.
Yeah, and it becomes a joke. And some of the stuff they've done is, I love it. Their marketing is spot on as a marketing guy.
Their commercials
Yeah.
that they're doing, these faux commercials with like the 50 sprues of gray was hilarious.
My gosh. I just cracked
Back
up
when the new
about that.
Orc vehicles were coming out for Cult of Speed,
Yeah.
and it was like a BMW commercial basically, and just great. I mean, their spoofs on commercials are really good. But anyway, the paints. We haven't had a chance to play with the paints yet. They don't send us advanced copies.
But on the paints, again, this is a great ploy by Games Workshop to bring these guys in and say, hey, check these out. They're awesome. And I'll just take us before you talk about the paints, because Chris is more of a painter than I am, so more power to him. But this is and I'm looking at the pictures. Chris is showing them to me. Chaos is showing them to me. He's super excited. And I look at and this is the opinion part of the show. I look at those things on the internet, and I'm like, wow, those are phenomenal. Those are great. And I've got a guy like Menzel? Mengel. Sorry.
Mengel Miniatures on Twitter.
Yeah, check it
him
out. Sorry about that. I look at that. That guy's a Golden Demon winner. All these pictures I'm seeing, they invite all these Golden Demon guys and these great painters. And I think that's awesome. I think that's great. I look at those and I go online now. Let's forget contrast paints for a minute, and I look at it and I say, dude, there's a lot of miniatures out there that look awesome, and they're using the same paints that I use now, and my miniatures don't look awesome. So my concern with contrast, and their claim to fame right now is that they're going to make it so that even people like me can be awesome painters. My concern is I see that now. I see the contrast paints, and yes, those models look awesome. I'm excited about the paints. But is it take a certain painting skill that I don't yet have to make those really awesome? So that's just my thing on the flip side of the contrast paints is I'm really excited to get them in my hands to see if I too can be awesome. So let's talk about it now, because Chris knows a lot more about them than I do.
So having said that, the guys who are these award-winning painters have almost like universally said this is a product that is going to change painting, for those who've been painting for a while, the exact same way that Shades changed painting when they released. And that was a big thing when Shades came out. I remember that. That was huge. I was a commission painter at the time, and I just finished this big commission army, like an entire not Deathwing army for Dark Angels.
Oh, okay.
So all that nice bone color, and I was using a single action horrible just POS airbrush at the time, right? And I had done the bone color with an airbrush. I had base coated all of it, tons of work by hand, got the whole army done. Guy was thrilled with it, paid me, and a week later the new Shades dropped, and the sepia shade would have done everything that I had done in like a quarter of the time. And I was so upset when that came out. But they're saying this is what the contrast paints are going to do. Like the contrast paints are going to change how we paint models. And there is, and I'll give a shout out here, credit to it. Richard Gray is a miniature painter, and he painted this Blood Angel model. If you can find it online, it's an awesome just snapshot of a Primaris Hellblaster painted in a Blood Angel color scheme. And he says he painted it in 30 minutes. And you look at it and you're like, there's no way somebody painted that in 30 minutes, especially not using an airbrush. And he talks about exactly how he painted it, what colors he used, and it is fantastic. Now, what they're saying, though, is that this is also going to make it so that the army painters, not competition painters, but army painters will be able to paint their armies more quickly and to a higher level of quality. And we have, I was talking to someone who has had a chance to play with these paints personally, okay?
Okay, so from that, what's the procedure?
That's what I'm going to get to.
Okay, what does it make it? And by the way, if Games Workshop's watching, you can take Chaos out, and he could be a guy for you. It'd be really good for him to go out there. I'm putting a plug in. I'm putting a plug in for you, so you can go. You can get out to England and check it out in Nottingham.
I'd love to.
So anyway, sorry. What's the process?
Okay, so I have somebody who's not a good painter who got a chance to use these paints, right? Somebody who's not a Golden Demon painter.
Okay, plug for me then.
Okay, and they said that they got the chance to use the paints. They put the paints on a model, and it was better than anything they've ever done.
Okay.
So my understanding of what these paints are, they say it's one thick coat, is you take a primed model, it has to be a light color, okay? You take and they're putting out 2 new primers for this, okay? They're putting out Wraithbone and Greyseer. Greyseer is like an off-white blue, and Wraithbone is like an off-white tan. And the Greyseer is used for like a cold color, and then the Wraithbone is used for warmer colors as your underbase coat. And they are primers, they're actual primers. Richard Gray said he primed his model black first, and then Zenithal highlighted it with, I think he said Wraithbone. So Zenithal highlight, for people who aren't familiar, is you base it with a dark color, you take a lighter color, work from the top, come down to about a 45-degree angle, maybe more if you want, and that way you're getting a transition from very light on top of the model to all the way down to black underneath the model. And so he did that with this Blood Angel model, and then he applied like one coat on the model. And what it does is it seeps deeper into the recesses, colors those more, but still glazes and colors everything you put it over. And so it's kind of wrapping your layer paint and your shade into one coat. And so he got done with that, let it dry, and then he did a couple edge highlights with some other colors, including the before-mentioned edge paints. And Spot highlighted and did a couple highlights, took a couple minutes. He did the gun with the black, did a couple highlights. The plasma coils on it, he said he would have gone back and rebased white first, but he didn't. He used what was already there, put a blue on it, said it would pop more if he had rebased it first. And then the eagle on the chest plate, he did just a coat of yellow. Didn't say he did any highlights or anything on it. You look at this model, it is amazing. It is an amazing piece of work. So shout out to Richard for doing a really great job with it too. But yeah, I saved the picture on my laptop. I'm just like, I'm going to look at this thing.
I saw it. It's really good.
Try to
But that
figure out
was-
how he did it.
When Cass brought that to my attention, I said that's when I brought up, well, Golden Demon guys paint really good right now, and I don't paint that good, and I've got all the tools that they have, but so I'm actually really excited to see, and hopefully a guy like me can become.
I think
better
so.
painter.
So we're looking forward. So June 15th is the official launch date for these paints.
Yep.
And our LGS is going all the way with it. We're getting the full 360, they call it, display, and we're going to stock it all. And I'm so stoked. And air paints are getting upgraded to bigger paint bottles too. Which anybody who uses air paints, you know how fast you go through them. Like that is so huge that they're switching those bottle sizes too. There's a new black coming out, a new white coming out for base coats.
New white will be good because I gotta tell you, I don't like ceramic white. Ceramite white, oh, it's terrible paint.
Yeah, they're replacing ceramite white. I think it's the same as the primer that's out right now, like Corax white.
Corax white, that'd be good.
same color.
Corvus black is the new black.
Yep. Yeah, lots of exciting things for painters. I'm a painter, so I paint a lot of models, and this is supposed to speed it up. And
I pretend to paint.
And still give quality. So I'm looking forward. My high watermark, I think, still is 740 models finished in 1 year. And I'm going to see what next year brings with these new paints. Who knows? So with the new paints coming, right? So what army are you most excited to work on with the new paints? Because any existing army I have, I'm not going to switch, right? I'm not going to switch like mid-army to a new paints. So do you have any projects that are upcoming that you're looking forward to using again?
You know, I will tell you one that I've been thinking when you brought this up is the Idneth Deepkin. And I have 2 miniatures painted, and they're both troop units already painted. But the way I want to paint those guys, if these contrast paints do what they say they do, that's probably what I'm looking forward to most. To get those skin tones the way I'm seeing on some of the pictures online, without base coat, shade, dry brush, shade, dry brush, 3 different colors to get to where I like the miniature when I'm done with it. And I don't paint as fast as Chaos, so that's when I paint a model, it takes me like 4 hours, and he can paint 10 of those in the same time. So, but I also don't airbrush, which I should start. I got one a while ago, and I still haven't. I've done a board, but I haven't done anything else. So probably Idneth Deepkin. I like the concept that they have. That turtle, the big turtle, would be really cool, I think, with some of the things I've seen in the contrast paints. There is some techniques that I've read about or seen in all the stuff you've shown me with the metallic. That one that we just looked at right before we came in here.
That's
who did that?
Mengel Miniature?
No, it was Peach. Chris
talking about?
Peach from Games Workshop.
Which model are you talking about, Ben? I'm thinking
The
something else.
metallic, where he lays down the metallic and then contrast
those
paints
Stormcast
over it.
models?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it gives it a nice colored metallic, which that excites
that looks
me
so
too.
cool.
That'll be really
Yeah,
fun.
it's like
So
it's
that
like
kind
this
of stuff is
teal
really cool.
metallic on one.
Yeah.
That looks really
I always
good.
try to do that with like a dry brush of like a Roomfang silver over like a blue, and it just never turns out right. So if they can come out looking like what we just saw, there's some other aspects to me rather than be quick and make it awesome. There's some cooler things that are coming out for me too. So Idneth Deepkin would be mine. I think for that.
Anything
purpose.
for 40K?
You know what? I got to be honest. I really wish I wouldn't be almost halfway done with my Ultramarines because I think they would look really cool in that kind of stuff. So maybe some other. How about Chaos? I've got a Alpha Legion with Abaddon.
I think
would be
Alpha Legion or Black Legion?
Black Legion.
Black
Abaddon?
Legion. Yeah,
Black Legion. That probably would be where I would go with that.
Abaddon
I wanna
or
do
Abaddon,
those
depending on
armor.
what region you belong in.
Yeah, I want to do their armor, and I think that will make it a lot easier.
I think so too. The black that they use on the gun, I think it's like Templar black they call it. Just looks fantastic. You just put that on, then you do a couple edge highlights, and you're done with your armor. That's one of.
Hey, if it gets quicker too, I'm all about getting quicker. I'm not as into. I paint the main models with a lot, and they still don't come out very well. But I paint your centerpiece models. They take a long time. But I have a Nagash that I spent Duncan. I used his methodology with the Lemia medium and all of that, and 15 coats and all that stuff, and it turned out. Well, I think it turned out really good. But What about you?
Okay, so I've been thinking about this one because I knew it was going to
I
ask
know
this
you
question.
have been.
And I have a lot of armies. So I have 12 or 13,000 points of Space Marines painted right now in my own successor chapter called the Storm of Wrath. They're Imperial Fist. It's a turquoise armor with yellow, and I know that there's a turquoise paint coming, a contrast paint. And if it even closely matches what I'm already doing, I will probably dive into my Primaris because I have about 3,000 points of unpainted Primaris just waiting. The way I paint my Marines right now is a lot of airbrushing work, putting my own custom shades on them. I mean, it's their work. I mean, I've been working on this army for 15 years now, and I would love to add the Primaris, but I've kind of been hesitating, and these contrast paints got me excited to work on them again. Barring that, I also have a Black Legion army, so that would be another one I would want to go towards. I also have an Eldar army, but I've already kind of started it. But once again, if I can get a close enough match, I might do something with that. And because in Eldar, too, if you're doing Aspect Warriors, you don't have to worry about color matching. Oh, my Fire Dragons are this color, my Striking Scorpions are this color, and just tie in a color that ties into the rest of the craft world. Sorry, when I say Eldar, I mean Craft World army. I don't do the other ones.
No, Eldar.
Fantasy, I don't know. Like, that's one that's really rough for me because I have a bunch of armies that I've already started, but I have a Caradron Overlords that I have not started yet, and I think that would go really well with the metallics because they're all, you don't see any skin on them. So doing a couple different metallics or doing like a lead belcher base and then doing different contrast paints to color the various areas could work really well. And then I also have a Khorne Bloodbound army that I haven't really messed with very much either, and that could be a really good one. And I have a Skaven army. So
If you haven't noticed,
yes,
Chaos has gamer ADD with armies. He's got a lot of armies, but it's really cool. It actually really excites me to paint when he starts talking about painting. It's really cool. And then he brings his models in though, and then I don't want to paint anymore. But that's not how anybody should be. It really should motivate you.
you're not competing against anybody but yourself.
It's not golf. But okay,
Unless you're in
not
an actual
competing.
painting competition.
I am competing.
Ever chosen?
By the way, yeah, we should. I wanted to mention that because you had said that. Chris had a lot of fun today. I think Chaos had a lot of fun talking to the Games Workshop rep about all this stuff. What is it, Ever Chosen?
Ever Chosen is a painting competition. It's coming out from Games Workshop. It's going to be through their retail stores, probably Warhammer World as well, and also certain independent retailers who go for that giant P360 line that we're doing, coincidentally. And we are really fighting to try to get into the competition. So I'm really hoping we can get in there. You take photographs of the models. We have a really cool photo booth we're setting up already to be able to take pictures of models. You post them online, and then the Games Workshop fans vote on the best models. And it's like a painting competition, but you have a global audience that you're appealing to.
Oh, okay.
And so it's to see. Ever Chosen, of course, is our Chaos title in Age of Sigmar, the champion of all chaos. So I think it's kind of a fun name for the competition. And
So will we be bringing some of the models that get painted in our LGS to the show?
if we're chosen to be in the Ever Chosen, absolutely.
Well, what if we're not, though?
Then yeah, we can still do
Let's
it. We'll
throw
take some
them
pictures.
up. Okay.
I got a few models I want to show off, so yeah.
I'm waiting for you to bring models. We can put
in
them
my
right on the
defense,
show.
really quick, for my gamer ADHD that I do have, and I jump from project to project to project. I do have 16,000 points of Tyranids painted. I do have 12 or 13,000 points of Space Marines painted. I have several small, when I say small, 2,000, 3,000 point armies painted up as well. My Necrons are about 7K.
I wasn't saying you didn't get projects
Just saying.
done. I'm just saying you
paint
have
a lot
every
still.
armor. One of my big concerns is some of the coolest models that I have in my collection are actually painted by Chaos and on a color scheme that wasn't quite right. You buy me a new one of these models and I'll give you the one I painted. I am gonna miss that if the contrast paints do away with that opportunity for
I have made that offer to him a couple of times. Hey, I painted this model to try out a color scheme. I'm not really going to go with it. If you just replace the base model for me, you can have the fully painted one.
Yeah, and it's some of my armies have some really good looking units in them. So
okay,
anyway.
we're gonna run into
Are we out of time? Sorry.
Bad
holy
Ash,
moly.
Good Ash, whoever he is today, his time. So RPG Out of the Box is coming up here at 7 o'clock Mountain Time. Before we sign off, though, I do want to bring up we are starting General's Journey this Saturday for real. 1 o'clock, we'll be interviewing our Age of Sigmar participants, and then at 3 o'clock, we'll start interviewing our 40K participants.
Yep.
We decided to sync them up onto the same day.
Yes.
We'll have a day of interviews. This is going to be basically just kind of a Q&A with these guys about why they picked the armies they picked, what they're looking forward to most, what they're hoping to get out of the whole General's journey, a 6-month journey of going from 0 to 1,500 points painted in both game systems.
Right.
And it's different people in both ones. I don't think anybody other than Knight and I are crazy enough to be in both of them.
It's not even. I mean, I can paint 250 points.
Well, it's 500 now because we're doubling up.
Yeah, but you gave him 2 months to do that. So.
Okay. It works
Oh,
out
you mean it?
it works out. If
together,
we're
you
in
mean.
both, it works out to 250 a month for both of us. But that is actually starting this Saturday at 1 o'clock.
hack that even.
Our website is also coming along really well.
It's coming along really well. Might be a stretch, but it is going to get better. We have a lot of our art being done by our graphic designer now. We're getting more and more serious.
Yes.
If you haven't seen, we've had a couple compliments, which is great, on the show and the improvements, and we're always looking to improve, so shoot those. I want to do a shout real quick for questions, things you guys want to know, what we want to hear, and get your friends out to tell them about the show, because this is our
Yes, please.
lowest number watch show, and we
Yeah.
would like it to be a little bit bigger. What do you want to see? What do you want to hear? That way we can bring to you what you want to do. Big shout out to local game stores.
Yes.
Go see yours. I won't say don't shop at the big box stores, but don't. Go to the local game store.
Please.
That's
Please.
the way to go. It's the way to be.
There's a lot of heart and soul that goes into the small LGSs, and it's a labor of love.
Yep. And it's where you get to play. Honestly,
Yeah,
it's where you get to
exactly.
play. So reward them
Strangely,
for
the
that.
big box stores, they frown if you set up a card table and start playing Magic in the aisles. It's weird. They kick you out.
We should try that though. Wait, I can't play here. I'm never shopping here again. So anyway.
Don't do that. Maybe they'll let them.
Yeah.
that'd be bad.
Don't encourage.
But yeah, so the rest of this week, though, we got RPG Out of the Box coming at 7 o'clock tonight.
Yep.
We got Dungeon Delvers tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Immersion RPG, we got a special episode this week at 7 o'clock, which is going to be interviewing the gamers and just talking more, getting to know them a little bit better. Since we're missing a few players this week, we decided not to continue the story without them. And then General's Journey and our Legacies of War segment, which will be this Saturday starting at 1 o'clock, all Mountain Time. Anything
you
else?
go.
Any more
That's
shout-outs
it.
you want to do? We
No
good?
more shout outs this week. We'll have some more next week. We will see you same time, same place. Chaotic Night Network, 6 p.m. every Tuesday for all your news, updates, and opinions. We're going to come up with a better tagline later, but we will see you next week. Thanks for watching.
Thank you very much.